go. Okay, I'm here at the FAST Museum in Farnborough with Captain Eric Winkle Brown, one of aviation's legends. Got some questions for him, which he's kindly agreed to answer. Captain Brown, you're rated exceptional in your flying skills and training. When did you realise you were different to most of your students?
I think you realise it when you see the fact that some of them are doing their stuff for their country, but they're not over keen on what they're doing. So the first thing is you don't realise that you have a grading. What you realise is you have enthusiasm. It's all a part of your ambition to be that way. And I had a father who was in the Royal Flying Corps, so I think it came rather naturally.
Was there any part of flying you found difficult or took a while to sort of sink in?
Not really. I think everybody finds instrument flying not difficult necessarily, but demanding. And I think most of the failures that occur in the early stages of flying are those that can't handle an aircraft under flight instrument conditions. But that didn't worry me. In fact, I rather liked blind flying, to be frank with you. Right.
You've landed everything from aerocobras to mosquitoes to vampires, with and without undercarriages on aircraft carriers. Was landing on an aircraft carrier something that instinctively clicked with you?
Yes. When I first saw an aircraft carrier, it was the smallest aircraft carrier in the world, actually. But to me, it wasn't unusual. We had some pilots in our squadron who had flown onto large aircraft carriers like the Ark Royal, and this small matchbox terrified them. But it didn't mean much to me. It was just another place to land. And maybe that was to my advantage, I think, because this is what got me into cess flying, because the commanding officer of that carrier wrote to the Admiralty, unknown to me of course, and said I had a special facility for deck landing and he thought they ought to make use of it. That's how I got into test flying.
What do you remember of the captured German aircraft exhibition in 1945?
Oh, a lot, because I was very involved. We had brought all the aircraft back. I was one of the pilots who was mainly involved, there were only two really involved in bringing back the jets to Farnborough. And then we had the exhibition, and we were each assigned, when I say each, we only had 4 pilots in Aeroflight at that time, an aircraft to demonstrate during that week. And I was demonstrating the Heinkel 162, which was the little Volksjäger. And I think it was the Thursday or the Friday, I'm not sure which, the chap who was demonstrating the ME 262 suddenly had a sore throat and couldn't fly. So I was asked to take on the 262 and handed over the 162 to somebody who had flown it, but not a lot. He had been a prisoner of war. Now, I really don't know what he was doing at Farnborough, because he certainly wasn't what I call up to date with what went on. But I briefed him to the best of my ability. But unfortunately, on the day, he got carried away a bit, I think, with the occasion, and decided to do what I'd advised him not to do, and we had a fatal accident. So that rather marred the last part of the exhibition, but otherwise it was a great success.
So there was a flying display. Were you doing aerobatics?
That's correct, yes. And the Heinkel 162 wasn't a great aerobatic airplane, because the jet engine, the BMW 003 jet engine, would only stand 3 seconds of inverted flight. So you had to get round pretty quick, but it had a marvellous rate of roll, so that was no worry, really.
Oh, okay. The testing or evaluation of German aircraft ended in 1946 after the crash of the Dornier 335. If that hadn't have happened, do you think testing would have continued, or had you learned everything that you could learn?
No, I think we'd sucked the orange dry, frankly, yes. And there wasn't much more for us to learn from it.
The reports that you and your fellow pilots wrote on enemy aircraft, how was this information disseminated to frontline squadrons? Through reports, or did it involve touring airfields with captured aircraft to show?
Before the war, we had some captured aircraft, of course, which had crash landed in this country or inadvertently flown into one of our airfields by mistake. And when we evaluated these, we went round the squadrons and which were involved in combat with them, and told them what we thought were the weaknesses of these aircraft, the Achilles heels. And so all that happened before the end of the war. After the war, they were just really museum pieces. And to my knowledge, we didn't go around disseminating any information. The reports were available to them, but there was no requirement to brief them on them.
Okay. Was there any German aircraft you evaluated during the war where you thought, this is so much more advanced, we should just put it into production ourselves in the UK?
Oh yes, the one which staggered us, frankly, with its quantum jump in performance was the twin jet Messerschmitt 262. When I tested it here at Farnborough, it was 125 miles an hour faster than any Allied fighter. Now this puts it in a league by its own. It is virtually untouchable. And that rattled us, frankly, to find that. And it's just as well that they were unable to produce them fast enough to really make a nuisance of themselves. And anyway, at this stage in the war, which is very late, the Germans were running out of pilots and running out of fuel. But the thought of them perhaps having pilots and fuel and a lot of these jets was a bit sobering.
What's your opinion on the German sort of flying wing designs, the Horten 9? Would you think they would have made a good?
Oh yes, I believe the Horten brothers, who were specialists in tailless aircraft, really, or all-wing aircraft. It's a difficult formula to get right, but when you get it right, it pays huge dividends. And the Horten 9, they had certainly, I think, got it right. And the great pity is that although we captured one which could have been repaired and it went to the United States, it was never brought to fruition. We know it has flown. It flew about 4 times, but not with what I call an experienced test pilot, which is a great pity. But I had great faith in the Horten brothers as designers.
Okay. You've obviously flown a vast array of aircraft in your time. A quick sort of 3 favourite aircraft. I mean, what's your favourite prop-driven aircraft, your favourite jet aircraft, and what's your favourite helicopter?
My favourite helicopter, I think I would say, is the Lynx. It's very versatile, highly manoeuvrable, and a really great weapon carrier. And I think the proof of the pudding is it's still doing well to this day. And I think the Navy is very lucky to have them.
Okay. And your favourite propeller aircraft?
My favourite propeller aircraft would be the de Havilland Hornet, which was really a hot rod single-seat Mosquito and vastly overpowered. And I always used to refer to it as the Ferrari in the skies.
Okay.